Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tansson Talks, where our mission here is to help bring people together. I'm your host, Brandon K. Hedgepeth, and I'm so glad to be here with you all today. For those viewers watching, please give a warm welcome to our featured guest here for today, Adham Mohamed. Thank you so much for being here, and it's exciting to have you on here today.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited to be here too.
Yeah, and so first of all, how are you doing here today?
Oh, I'm doing splendid, it's nice weather in Minnesota today. Well, a bit cloudy, but what can you get? It's Minnesota.
Well, that is, really good to know. And so, yeah, I'm just so excited to have you on here today and excited to officially meet you.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, so before we go ahead and get started, are you able to go ahead and introduce yourself for those who are watching and listening here today?
Hi guys, I'm Adham Mohamed. I am a current senior at the University of Minnesota. I'm majoring in PR and advertising. I do a lot of PR work. I am currently the chapter president of PRSSA here in the Minnesota chapter. I'm also part of the Minnesota DEI committee for PRSA, so I pretty much just do their social media posts. I'm currently the assistant social media manager for the Minnesota Daily. Just started my position, so I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. And yeah, I'm just living my life as a student, being busy and trying to find internships. So,
Well, nevertheless, congratulations on your new role. That
oh, thank
definitely
you.
is exciting. Yeah, of course. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm just so excited to have you on, here today. And so, yeah, I first of all, I guess want to ask, so how has your summer 2023 been for you?
It's been good. I was in New Jersey visiting family for a bit while also doing my internship remotely. I was also taking two summer classes, which finally ended about a week ago. And I'm preparing for school all over again in September. Preparing to graduate. So I've been trying to just find more professional developments, so that when I graduate, I'm ready for the adulthood.
Well, that is, all good to note though. And so I hope that you were able to enjoy your time, seeing your family and with your internship and your two classes. How do you have time for all of that?
Well, I don't sleep, so I had enough time. Yeah,
Well, at least well, hopefully you were at least able to get some rest
yeah,
during that time.
just a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, nevertheless, though, I mean, it definitely sounds like you've had a very productive summer, and yeah, but overall, we are here now getting ready for the fall 2023 semester, and like you said, you're about to graduate. Are you excited for it?
Oh, never have I been ever excited for something like this. I'm ready to get out of school. I am ready to start my career, and I'm just very excited to see what doors open for my future. So, I've been preparing for a very long time. So,
Well, that is, really great that you, of course, have been preparing and that, the time is finally here. And so you mentioned, of course, you are, majoring in public relations and advertising. And so have you always wanted to, to do public relations or advertising? Or I guess taking you back to the beginning, when did you first find an interest in this?
yeah, so I was actually originally when I was in high school, I wanted to actually do psychology, and then it switched to interior design, and then it switched to graphic design. And before college started, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't even know what my passions were really. I like to read, I like to draw. I liked normal, basic high school things, and I didn't really have a passion. And then when college started, I was actually a graphic design major and I took art classes and I really loved art. But then I kind of realized that art was more of a hobby instead of a passion. So I changed it to um, something that I was actually really good at and could give me I basically was looking for a major that was very broad so that if I had to change in the future, I would be okay. And that was It was professional communication, and emerging media, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved everything it had to do. But it was more on communication and technical writing instead of PR and advertising. Um, and then I did a little more digging, was still not really feeling it. And then I switched to strategic communications, public relations, and advertising. I liked it. It wasn't really a passion at first, but then I got an email from my professor saying that they needed someone to take over PRSSA. At the time, I didn't know what PRSSA was. Um, and so I accepted it. I really liked the leadership position and I really wanted to do it. I did not expect to be a president, though. I didn't even know what PRSSA was at the time. But apparently, last year's chapter presidents kind of disappeared on PRSSA, so it went dormant, and they needed someone to rebuild it. So during the summer of 2022, I tried my best to rebuild it by finding faculty advisors, executive members, emails, brochures, and posters to advertise it. And that's when I really started to enjoy PR. I guess PRSSA was kind of my gateway to PR, and then I got into PR more with the PR conferences and the classes, and that's when I knew, oh, this is my passion, and I really love. Um, I like PR more than advertising, more because it's more relationship um, oriented. It's more discussing with people and communicating with people and creating a client to like public relationship. And that's something I'm really passionate about, communicating with people and kind of like making a name to something. So that's kind of my story of how I got into PR and advertising. So
Wow, well, that's really interesting, though. That you went from wanting to do like psychology to like interior design, graphic design, and then then doing that, but I feel like that's sort of like the learning experience, though, and a part of being a college student or preparing to be a college student for that matter is I don't know what I want to do. Like for me, you know, well, I spent most of my life up until like late middle school. That's like, I want to be a teacher, which, I love education. And then I was like, maybe I want to do something tech related. I started doing all this stuff, did an internship in high school. I was just like, nope, nope, not for me. I love learning about it, but maybe doing it is a different, is a different thing. And so, yeah, it's really just coming along to trying to figure out who sort of you are and then what do you want to do with it, with who you are is
hmm
like a whole different playing field.
exactly.
But yeah, and so out of curiosity, how long did it take you, with your initial graphic design major to realize that it was more so a hobby passion and not a career passion?
The first semester, actually. For starters, my professor was way too harsh on us, and I kind of realized art is subjective. I honestly don't know how you can judge someone's art. And the thing is, I have always loved art. Like I've been drawing since I was a kid, and I always thought like my art capabilities were strong until I took graphic design courses. I apparently was not that good to his opinion, and I don't know, I just couldn't see myself continuing this passion and or hobby, I guess. So after the semester ended, I switched my major and started taking communication courses. I still love graphic design. Like I think it's a great hand on hand with PR and advertising, so I am somewhat grateful I took graphic design courses, somewhat. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense though, and yeah, it's definitely sounds like one of those things where it's just like you love doing it, but it's another thing when sort of someone like critiques your passion to oblivion, and it
Yep.
it really makes you second guess some things.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He was harsh, like definitely to oblivion. So
Wow. And did you know immediately like what you were going to change your major to, or was it just I need to get out of this, whatever's
um
next?
So while I was taking my graphic design courses, I was doing research on majors and I was looking up future jobs and careers. This was like strong research. I was delegating with my dad, I was delegating with my professors, and then, this major, the professional communication, emerging media, um, was it. It hit the spot. So
Wow, but at least that you were able to find something a little bit along, more along your career passions, even if it did take, a moment or two to really, figure it out. And so I guess how was that overall? Yeah, with that being said, how was your overall first year of college, I guess, compared to the rest of it when you had more things sort of figured out?
well, first year was a nightmare because of COVID. So I graduated when COVID hit, and everything pretty much just went downhill from that. For starters, the first year I didn't really know anyone. I was very nervous, but it was very promising. The first thing I did was try and find any leadership positions I could find. Like I wanted to suffocate all of it. So I became the multimedia director for AIGA, which is, I think, the American Institutes of Graphic Arts. So I was pretty much controlling their social media accounts and emails and just trying to find students to attend. I then became a podcast host actually for a little bit. Very fun. We just talked about life and just what it's like being a college student. And then I became a senator for the campus life. So I was pretty much controlling um, how to live on campus. So students would come to me if they had any problems about campus and if there was any changes that needed to be done. Um, I was I just had a lot. Like I was part of the Equity and Diversity Council for my college, so we just talked a lot about like DEIs and ways to make diversity more inclusive. Um, oh, I was also like the performing arts media specialist for the theater. Basically, I was just trying to obtain everything I could think of. Like I wanted to make myself a name at my college. I really wanted to prosper my soul and like meet new people and like just learn new things. And then COVID hit again and it made things worse. So I canceled my housing contract and moved back home. I did most of the things online or tried to, but most of the stuff had to be in person. But I didn't want to risk COVID. I had family members who with underlying diseases. So I had to basically stop half of my leadership positions, just focus on school. Worked a lot, made some money, and then that's when I started to switch my major. So I was just trying to, it was hectic. It was really hectic, but it really put my mind into a different perspective and made me a bit more passionate in life. So that's how my first year was.
Wow. Well, first of all, like you mentioning all the different, leadership positions you had, all the different organizations, it feels a very like relatable, I guess, to my time in undergrad because I love doing anything and everything, but sometimes, there is a bit of a limit as to how much you can do. And, I feel like sometimes, even when you know about the limit, you just still want to keep doing it because it's like it doesn't feel enough to really fulfill you, even if it does take a lot of time and effort for each of them. It's just like, oh yeah, like what's another one? I can handle it, especially online.
Like, okay, here's the problem though. When it came to all these leadership positions, I some of the meetings were correlating with one another. So I had to have my laptop in one meeting, okay? And then I had to have my phone in another meeting. I had to have this was back at the time when phones had like the long like headphone like plug-in instead of like the iPhone one. So this was an old iPhone. So I had to take an earbud and put it here. And then I had to take another earplug for my iPad and put it here. And then my laptop had no headphones. I honestly don't know how I did it. Um, it was stressful. I kept hearing multiple like voices in my head and because of the earbuds. So I was trying hard to balance it all. Trust me, having six leadership positions at the same time does not work. So, yeah.
that that is funny. And the funny thing about is, of course, this is the one time I don't have my other laptop with me, but I have two laptops, and so
Uh-huh.
and yeah, a lot of my leadership stuff happens to be at the same time as well. And so, and for someone who has done all of my undergrad, well, most of my undergrad and all of my grad school online, like I've had so many times where I've had conflicting meetings, and I had one time I actually showed up in person to those things. Of course, they happen to be at the same time, and so running back and forth between campus is just not the same as having, two online meetings at the same time. Learned that the hard way. Ended up practically missing both meetings, but nevertheless, though, yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like when you're online, it's like you sort of feel like you can have it all, but it's like at what cost?
But yeah, what cost? Your sanity.
Yeah, but did it overall work out better for you to cut back on all of the leadership positions and focus on yourself, your family, and academics?
Honestly, yes, I did keep the priorities of like the leadership position. So I kept the multimedia director for a bit, and the performing arts media specialist because I think that that went more into my future than like being a senator and like the equity and diversity. So I had to really cut back on the leadership positions where I probably would have gone crazy. So, but yeah.
But yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you mentioned too that that you were also a podcast host or co-host during that time as well. So how was that experience for you?
It was super fun. I was working under two producers or like the original podcast hosts, and I'm not entirely sure how I found it. Um, I think it was like when I was looking through like the organizations. But my first day was honestly really nerve-wracking because they gave me the mic and I just started talking and talking and rambling, and I thought I was talking too much, but I guess I talked enough. I had a lot of things to say. And it's probably my favorite thing I did because I've always wanted to be a podcast host, like you are. Like I think it's a great way to talk to people and communicate and like learn from people's experiences. Because I think every human being is based on their experience and like their perspectives. And like once you learn um, about other people's perspective, you kind of gain more knowledge and like you can mold yourself, you know, to make yourself better, in this world. So I honestly loved it and I really enjoyed it. But sadly, because of COVID, I had to dip because all the all the tech and like all the softwares and the room itself was at my college. So yeah.
Well, even though it's unfortunate you weren't able to continue with that, at least you were able to enjoy the time that you had with that, and progress from there. And yeah, but out of curiosity, I guess for you, was there anything about actually doing that experience that was different than how you had initially anticipated it?
Hmm. Definitely coming in a first year, I didn't expect. I was a high schooler, so and I college was always based on the shows I watched, like the stereotypical Disney shows and like how college is like. So I definitely came into college and all these experiences thinking that it was going to be more hard work and like very, very tough and stressful and aggravating. But honestly, I came into it very relaxed and it was more lenient and it fit my schedule and it was very, the only word I could think of was magical. So I woke up in the morning very excited to do what I was doing instead of like waking up dreadful. So I guess if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, I mean that's just so interesting. And so since you've mentioned, these TV shows and movies that you've watched, a few times, I did want to ask. So I guess, are you someone that watches a lot of TV shows and movies, especially in regards to the sort of college experience? I'm a TV media person, so which is why I asked.
I absolutely love movies and shows. Oh my goodness, like I love anything that captivates emotions. So like books, writing, art, and movies. I will literally sit in my bed and watch like I will binge watch as many movies as I can. You know, the more prettier it is, like the more I'll probably like be obsessed with it and think about it for days. So,
Wow, that's amazing though. But I'm just so glad that that you were able to progress from that first year and and continue forward. And so yeah, and speaking of the time that that you briefly did your podcast though, fun fact is that I actually went ahead and in preparing for our discussion, I actually listened to one of your times co-hosting the Blue Devil podcast.
oh
And
goodness,
so
God. Oh, how was that? How did you enjoy?
it was so interesting. I mean, hearing, the perspective of you and the two other hosts or co-hosts, speaking about it, especially for you as a as a freshman during the COVID-19 pandemic and everything. And so it's so interesting, like being able to hear these different perspectives, about it. So yeah, it was definitely a fun listen.
Oh wow, I haven't listened to it in years. I can't believe it's still up. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you I'm glad that you listened to it. Not many people know about it, so
But yeah, but nevertheless, though, you know, I'm glad that you're able to progress. And since you mentioned though that you did end up coming home, so do you live close to where your college was freshman year?
okay, so when I went to UW Stout, it was roughly about an hour and 50 minutes from home. So, and that was the only, like, in high school, I was, like, let me tell you, I was not a motivated student. I was lazy, boring, didn't care about anything. And when college came around, I was like, I don't even know where I want to go. So I chose Stout. And it was close to home because I was pretty nervous of staying away from family. Um, and at the time, the graphic design program was one of the best. So it was roughly an hour and 40 minutes. Perfect, far away enough I can grow on my own, but not far enough where like I'll get stressed. But then I transferred to the University of Minnesota, which is roughly about 20 to 25 minutes from home. So, and I'm also an online student because I don't want to drive every day, want to save money, and I have severe insomnia. So I will always miss my classes if I have an in-person class. So online classes are so much easier, and it's just easier. It's just so much easier for me.
Yeah, especially having, flexible schedules and being able to sort of make it to your will. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's like 2 a.m. or, or 9 p.m., the class will always be there, at least for those asynchronous ones. But yeah, so I guess that means that you take mostly asynchronous classes in.
hmm Exactly. I love asynchronous classes.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that that your college is able to to offer asynchronous classes because I know that not a lot of colleges really put a lot of emphasis on their online programs, so I'm glad that yours does.
hmm Technically, here's the thing. Technically, it's not an online program. When COVID hit, schools kind of changed, as you can tell, like they changed some of their programs, so they're more lenient on online classes. I just choose the online classes, but technically, I'm like an in-person student who's taking online classes. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does because I for so originally for me, I was going to be a campus student at least for my first semester or my first year of college, but when I saw the COVID numbers go up, I decided to intentionally be an online student. But because my registration was for being a campus student, I just never changed it, and so it was just like, oh yeah, I'm just a campus student that just has never been through campus. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but when I applied for graduate school, I applied as an online student. And so when I got accepted, it actually changed my registration to being an online student.
Mm,
And Yeah, I didn't realize that there were certain restrictions to, yeah, for certain things that makes it a little bit more difficult. But
Mm.
as someone who advocates for online students to get involved, it definitely did open my eyes. It's like, oh, you mean there's actually a difference between being a campus student that does online classes and an online student? Who knew?
See, what was one of my restrictions? Honestly, it's not really a restriction. It's kind of like a personal thing, but like I feel so disconnected from school and like people don't even ask to hang out because I live like 30 minutes away. And like by the time I get there and find parking, because the University of Minnesota is a city campus, you kind of just, you're already tired. So what can you do, you know?
That is so interesting to hear though. Like for me, I am about 40 in quotation marks minutes away from my campus. It's across the bridge tunnel, so like the traffic may end up being a couple hours at times. So like it would be nearly impossible for me to try to do in person meetings for like anything I really wanted to do. Like I still
Hmm.
occasionally visit campus, but that's like at most like twice a month because I can't deal with that traffic. I did it for an internship last summer. Can't do it.
Oh.
Uh, can't do it. But yeah, but out of curiosity, I guess before I ask
Mhm.
any other questions, so since you mentioned that you do feel that disconnect from from campus students as opposed to you being a online student, like what have you been you know I guess doing to make connections during this time because you're not there on the campus to really meet people, although you are a PRSSA chapter president, so I mean I guess that might help.
Yeah, yeah. So being chapter president, so first semester, or I guess let's see, so when I transferred as a sophomore student. I had in-person classes at first. So I connected a lot with people, and I just throughout the years of sophomore year, I just kept missing classes because I do have severe insomnia, and so my connections kind of started to fade away because again, like I'm not really a partier. I'm not really a party student. I don't like to drink. I don't like to, forget the night. And most of the people that I were friends with were those type of people. So I kind of like just started to disconnect with them because that wasn't my type of fun. So my sophomore year, that friend group kind of like disappeared. And then I guess this year when I was a junior, um, when I started PRSSA, I kind of connected more with people that had the same exact passion as me, which was, career development, doing very passionate things like having picnics and talking about life or like drawing together, like driving at night. So I finally found like my people, the PR students. And when I went to the leadership assembly in the Minnesota PR conference, I got to even know more people in that circle. And it felt weird, being in a group chat with all these people talking about internships and jobs and like complaining about, their future careers. I'm like, I've never had friends like that. So it felt really great because my parents always say, like, surround yourself with people that, that have the same exact passion, you know, and I honestly really enjoyed it. But these people sadly do not attend my school because everyone from the different states attended these conferences internationally or like just locally. But in order for me to connect with people, in Minnesota, it's friends from friends of friends. So basically, in short, I don't really have many friends from the University of Minnesota, but I'm okay with it because I still have my good friends, my online friends from different PRSA chapters, and then my personal friends that go to different schools, and then I have like some good friends from the U. But either way, I like being on my own. I like you know professionally developing myself. And I'm a go-getter. And I don't have time to have fun. My fun is PR. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is just so relatable. I mean, to me, it's so many different instances. Like all of my campus friends for the most part are mainly people I knew beforehand that just coincidentally go to you know, my university, I mean, I may have met like a few people like in more recent times during my my random campus visits, but you know, but for me, being able to do stuff like this podcast has been like such a great outlet to to meet people and to get to know them. And I'm sure when you went to your PRSSA leadership conference, I'm sure you met like probably a good handful of some of my previous guests on my Tanson Talk show. So
Hmm.
that's kind of fun. But yeah, but that's so interesting to sort of hear your perspective on that, because it's not very often, I would say, that I get to meet fellow online students. So that's really yeah, fun to converse about.
Oh yeah, we're pretty rare. We're pretty rare.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what would you say like are some of the next steps that you are working to to take like within the senior year? Like, what do you have planned out for senior year?
So my senior year is so my vice president and public relations director graduated um back in May, and um so my social media director became my vice president because she was one of the first people that I recruited, and I trust her with PRSSA. So her and I are trying very hard to kind of rebuild PRSA even more and kind of like grab students to join, because currently at the University of Minnesota, the AD club, the advertisement club, is the biggest and everyone wants that. So we're trying to, be competitors with AD club by trying to make it more enticing to join PRSSA. I'm currently waiting to hear back from a few internships for the fall semester. I'm very good at time management and like balancing things, so I think I could possibly do an internship during my fall while also taking my online classes. Hopefully, I'm not sure yet. But honestly, kind of just focus on my class, and again, my professional development until I graduate. So I can find at least a fellowship or an internship after I graduate, and then hopefully with that, company, after that internship, they hire me as a full time. But again, I'm just keeping my doors open. I don't want to have too much expectation, so I upset myself, but just going with the wind. Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense though. Yeah, I'm glad that you're at least working to have a productive time, potentially get that final college internship in, and yeah, I mean making most of your time before you enter into the next stage after college.
Mhm.
And out of curiosity, do you know what you plan to do? Yeah, after you officially walk across the stage, and I suppose May.
Oh, I have no idea. I have honestly a lot of ideas, like maybe, so for starters, probably like move out, like get maybe like a house or an apartment my city. Um, Probably work for like a year or two while getting a master's degree, like maybe find a program that like will make you work and do your master's degree at the same time, help with like tuition. Um, that's one idea, or just work for a bit and then move out to a different state. I'm thinking about maybe Boston, Philly, Jersey, or Seattle, um, or Chicago. I honestly have no idea, but I definitely want to work for maybe like a media entertainment company or a fashion company or something, or maybe even become an event planner or a spokesperson. Pretty much something to do with um, interacting with people. Like I will be happy with any job if it means I interact with people. So.
I love that though. And yeah, if you happen to do come over to the East Coast, you're definitely going to have to say hello.
Yeah. Where in the East Coast do you live?
I live in the Virginia Peninsula,
Okay, Virginia Peninsula. Okay, okay. Yeah, see,
but yeah,
Jersey's definitely my top two, around there. Yeah, because my mom lives there, so I've always been there. I like Hoboken. I love the shore, And here in Minnesota, there is quite literally nothing to do besides Minneapolis. Can't do it anymore.
wow. And out of curiosity, have you always like well, aside from your time at yeah, at UW Stout, yeah, have you always lived in either Minnesota or New Jersey?
No, so I actually was born and raised in Egypt. I moved to Kentucky when I was 4 so that my dad could finish his PhD. And then after that, we moved to Minnesota till I was maybe around 7 or 8. And then my dad stayed in Minnesota to keep working, and my mom, my sister, and I moved back to Egypt. And then in 2012 or 13, I moved to the States with my dad and my sister permanently. And then I started 5th grade, and then here I am. Ever since then, I've been here in Minnesota.
Wow. Well, I would say out of the places that that you've lived, which ones would you say like were your favorites, and do you remember all of them?
Okay, let's see. So education wise, I wouldn't say Egypt. Education there wasn't so hot back then with the Arab Revolution and the economy falling down. But memory wise, I would have to say Egypt. I had honestly one of the best times there growing up. Um, I've eaten the best food. I've tried the best clothes, and the beaches were my playground as a kid. And we'd always go on vacations, and I was very, a kid having fun because education wasn't as important or wasn't as good. I was just having my fun time, living life with my big family. But then when I came to America, I was very set back. I was very behind. My English wasn't that good. Um, so I had to like go into like the special program for like foreigners. um, Life here was okay. I wasn't used to it. The American culture was a big shock to me. I was trying to get used to it, learn their lingo. Like I was kind of the weird kid because I did things and say things that most Americans at the time were like, "What?" Like they viewed me like if I was a penguin walking into a salsa classroom. I don't know. But um, So when I went to New Jersey, I was kind of older. I was around the age of 16, so I can visit my mom. Um, Life there was okay. I actually really enjoyed it. The shore was beautiful. I liked the sunsets, sunrises, reminded me back home from Egypt. I also liked that I could also go to New York City. So that was also great because I spent all my money there. My bank account was crying every single day, but I did not mind it. So it made me really appreciate the East Coast more than the Middle East, and the Midwest. Um, so to your question, luxury wise, I would say Egypt. Education wise, Minnesota, and interacting with people, I would say the East Coast for sure. I think East Coast has a lot more diversity and just really cool people. So yeah.
That is such an interesting, yeah, perspective on everything. And out of curiosity, like for you growing up, yeah, in Egypt and having been around, yeah, a couple different states before, now permanently, well, until at least you graduate, in Minnesota, you know, I guess would you say that that sort of helped shape who you are and some of your interests as a whole?
I would definitely have to say yes. I when I came to America, I was very scared and lonely, and I thought people found me weird. And because I kept moving from place to place, I didn't have a strong foundation with friends. So when I left Minnesota for the first time, or first time? Yeah, first time was midway of 2nd grade. So I left Egypt. I didn't have any way to contact people because, I was at an age where I didn't have a phone, an iPad. I don't even think they were being created at that time. So I kind of like everyone kind of lost who I was. They kind of forgot who I was. So when I came to Egypt, I became friends with all these, Arab people and Egyptian people, people, my race. Um, and that's when I got a phone. So I was able to interact with my friends in Egypt, But then when I moved back to America, I lost my Egyptian friends because I didn't have any way to interact with them. My old phone broke. I don't remember their phone numbers. They were all in Arabic. And I pretty much went through that cycle again. I don't remember anyone from Egypt. And then when I came to fifth grade in America, I saw the people that I was friends with, but they didn't know who I was. They're like, "Do I know you? Like, you look familiar." And with my English being broken, I was like trying to say I know you, but I couldn't. So I understand what it's like being lonely. Like, I know, what it's like to be an outsider, and that really shaped who I am when I communicate with people. I really like making people feel included. I like making people feel like they're being seen and heard, and that's why I really want people to know that there's so many good things in life, instead of just being lonely. And like I like pushing people to like discover who they are and like find friends. And then like as I grew up again in college as an online student, it's like I'm reliving Egypt in my second grade all over again. So I think it definitely um did shape who I am. And like moving from different states and like visiting people from different states, I got to know people of different cultures and races and like heard a lot about their background. So it really made me a very connected, like connection oriented person. And I guess that's also another reason why I went into PR and advertising. It gives me an opportunity to get to know people more. Whew. So yeah.
Well, that's overall just, I mean, such, yeah, so interesting to hear. First of all, thank you so much for, I mean, for sharing that with us.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm an open book.
Well, that's, yeah, really great to hear. And yeah, but overall, it definitely sounds like, though, that, that you, you very much, love meeting people, love the connections, and yeah, and I just love how devoted you are to, to what you do with making those connections, and and really being able to make them your own. And so, and I'm sure that shows greatly in your work, especially since, if I remember correctly, you've actually received a couple different PR awards over, these past couple months.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've tried to find things to do for rewards or like and try to find my name, getting some recognition in like a very non-narcissistic way. So yeah.
Well, how was it, being able to receive some of these awards? Did you imagine that you'd be selected for some of them?
Oh man, like no, it was a very like I woke up, I would run to my email and my heart would sink like in excitement. Like I would literally like be crying tears of joy. Because when I was young, I wasn't a good student. Like I had a lot of mental problems and I was trying to navigate my way to the American life. So I really didn't care about school and yeah, I was very lazy and I was going through a lot of stuff. So knowing that I finally grown into the person I wanted to become and finally getting at least a recognition for my hard work really makes me feel whole and happy. Like I would never expect, like my high school self would not expect me getting all these rewards or like all these internships. And it really feels great. And I hope to get more rewards in the future and show people that, hey, like I'm back in the game, like I'm not who I was in high school. So I'm really grateful for them. And it really makes me happy getting these awards. So yeah,
Oh, so yeah, I'm just so glad, and yeah, massive congratulations to
thank
you
you.
for even, yeah, for achieving those awards. Yeah, getting the recognition because it's just so greatly deserved for you. So
Mm.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
of course. And yeah, and since you've mentioned, a bit about your high school self, so would you say that that was, because of the lack of connections, or like a mixture of things for you?
Ooh, that's tough. So I honestly would have to say, honestly, I'm not really entirely sure. I think so back then. I didn't really know how GPAs worked. My family and I were pretty we were pretty much in our own world. We didn't really understand the mechanism of America. So I always thought like, oh, this was so long ago. I didn't know how GPAs worked, so I thought I was always going to be okay. Like I always kept giving myself that like that false reassurance that, oh, I'll be fine. Like I don't have to care for school. Like it was probably my foundation. In middle school, I had a very weak foundation for like school. Like I didn't really get good grades, so that probably went into high school with that really weak foundation. I did do well in classes that I enjoyed, so I was pretty selective. So art and biology, um, and science, but I wasn't really pushed hard enough, or it was honestly just a self thing. I was just lazy. I was a very lazy kid. Like I was the laziest kid you could ever imagine. All I wanted to do was play video games and watch movies. So to answer your question, I honestly think that my foundation at first was just really bad. Um, or I was just lazy. I like just very lazy. Yeah.
Well, at least, and now in the present day, you're able to say that, yeah, you've accomplished things. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's growth for you right there.
Yeah, exactly. Growth. That started around, I'd have to say junior year of high school is when it really dawned upon me, holy crap, I need to do something right now. Like I need to start focusing because this is not it. I need to go to college. I need to make myself a future. And yeah, that's when I really started to push myself and happily I'm now at the University of Minnesota and I'm graduating. Who would have thought? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is just, so great that you've been able to accomplish just so much in relatively very little time. I mean, that's just impressive, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and to think though that that even though we've touched on like so many of the different opportunities you've had, the awards you've gotten and opportunities, that there's just still so much to unpack. But I
Mhm.
mean, but nevertheless, though, this has just been such a like absolutely fun and thrilling like conversation, and yeah, I mean, this has definitely been a highlight of my week thus far.
Oh, thank you. It was very fun. Like, not a lot of people ask, about my story or are actually somewhat interested. They're interested in what type of tequila do you like? So, I'm very grateful. I honestly have so much fun. So, I mean, yeah. So, they always want the surface level, never the deep level. And that's why I really enjoyed, this podcast. So it was fun talking about myself.
Yeah, I mean, this, like I said, this truly has been just so fun, and I'm just so glad I had a chance to, yeah, have you on here. And yeah, and before we begin concluding, I did actually want to ask for anyone who's watching on video, I did want to ask about the posters you have behind you.
Oh, the posters? Oh, let me show you. I don't know. I'm still trying to renovate my room right now. That's pretty much what I have right now. And then, I mean, do you want a room tour? It's pretty messy, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, well, don't mind the messiness. But I love art, so I like finding things. So this is currently what I have. Just got this one for free. Someone just didn't really care for it, and they were like just trying to give it away. So I was like, like I'll take it. Um, and then this is my desk. So I have a lot of just random knickknacks, some posters, and a tapestry. And then I have this tapestry right behind me. Just disclaimer, I don't know anything about astrology. I just really like how it looks. Other astrology, and then plants. So I really like the aesthetic of like garden meets Mediterranean summer, if that makes sense. So
Uh, that is so cool, though. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean. I'm just really interested, like, in your taste for design. I mean, it just makes such a really like aesthetic room. And so, since you're doing renovations, like, what are your overall plans for how you want it to look?
Yeah, so how I mean, would you like to see the posters I bought? I mean, that's kind of the style if you're interested in. Okay, yeah. So, um I'm not entirely sure what the style is called. I'm just really interested in like I have a lot of passion for design, but I get bored easily. But like the style that I have never been bored with, I honestly don't know what I would call it, but like it's more like this style. So like I honestly like I really couldn't tell you what style this is. It's like more like Mediterranean summer meets paintings. So like I don't know. I like very it's very subtle and like I don't know. I really like I love statues. I love old architecture, Italian. I guess I would have to say an Italian summer. Italy, like a very small Italy summer. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm really interested in, but again, like my passions change a lot. I can never stick to one thing. Like I'm currently writing a book. That's something most people don't know about, but I keep changing it every hour. So it's been a progress.
Wow. Well, like I said, that's just so outstanding. And yeah, like I said, first of all, like I said, thank you so much for the for the room tour and showing us a
Yeah,
bit
of
of
course.
your inner person, sort of like your inner workings of your area. I mean, it's just so intriguing, to see. And that's something I love about doing the shows, that really getting to know not just the you know, what do you do with your life? But I'm like learning more about, you know, the people themselves. And so I just really appreciate that you've been willing to do this. And please definitely keep in touch.
Oh, I'd love to. Are you kidding me? I mean, I've seen your YouTube, so I've stalked a bit. So
Did you like what you see at least?
I did. I actually enjoyed it. I watched a few. It was very fun because like because of you doing this, other people can also get to know these people by watching your YouTube video. So it was very fun and intriguing.
I'm so glad. And out of curiosity, which ones did you check out?
Let me actually show you. Um, so I watched Find Your Niche because that was the first thing I saw, and then I looked at a few students. The sky's the limit. Just go for it, and then interview with Maxwell. So I watched a few.
Yeah, those. Yeah, like I said, I love what I do, and yeah, I love that you're able to check out some of those just amazing guests I had on, and yeah, they're all outstanding people, yourself
Hmm.
included.
Thank you.
Of course, of course, and yeah, and my actual last question before I close,
Go ahead, ask away.
begin closing this out, is, since you are in the process of writing your book, I did want to ask about that, because I mean that just sounds so intriguing to me.
Yeah, so it was originally I've always loved writing, but I never really had the motivation to do something. But I've always loved poetry and I loved captivating emotions through words. And I guess I kind of just started writing in my notes, and then all of a sudden I just started writing on my Google Docs, and then I actually started writing more and more. And then I started sharing it with my friends, and they really liked it. And I was like, like that's motivation enough. Like I'll start writing it. So it's called well, I'm not really sure what I want to call it yet. It was originally called A Thought for You, and then Dear Reader, and then now it's called Just Between Us. And it's basically it's a poetic self-love book, like paragraphs on like ways to live life better, just simple. stories on life, romance, ways, thoughts, random thoughts from a college student like me. But the twist is, their author or the writer is actually falling in love with the reader. I really wanted to make like a very like plot twist because I want it to be different than most poetic books. So I was like, like why not make the writer fall in love with the reader? So each like 10 page, 20 pages, the reader or the writer sends an email letter or a letter to the reader, like, dear reader, like I hope you are enjoying this book. I'm pretty nervous to be sharing my thoughts with you. And at the very last page, it's like, I'll spoil it, but it's like, dear reader, as our adventure is coming to a close, like it's a bittersweet ending. But if you ever, you know, want to hear from me or like want to restart our adventure again, open my book. I don't know, like I really like it, like as you said, like getting to know someone. My view on life is very simple and soft. I like looking at things in a pretty way, which is why I love sad music. I don't know why. I'm not a sad person. I just really love how subtle it is to the ears and how cinematic it is. So when it comes to writing, I love writing romance or like heartbreak or so it kind of gives me a viewpoint on the way I write as well. So I wanted to add that romance aspect to my book. So yeah.
Okay, I absolutely love that. So like once you get that, published, readable, whatever, please send me, like,
Oh,
please let me know. I will like purchase it immediately, but I want it signed. I want it
oh,
signed.
okay, okay. I'll definitely sign it for you.
Yes, like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I'm so like glad I was able to ask about that on the recording because, like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And so I just can't wait to see what the final product comes out to be.
Oh, oh, okay. That's enough motivation for me. I'll start working on it right now.
Yes, yes, please do. But, and like I said, closing out our discussion though, if anyone wants to check out any of the stuff that you are doing or follow you online or whatever the case may be, where's the best place for them to do so?
I mean, ooh, I'm not really good with social media, but there is my Instagram, but that's kind of just where I like show my outfits and drawings. So if anyone's interested in that, go ahead. Um, I also have my LinkedIn. That's where I just, LinkedIn stuff. So yeah.
Well, that is so great to hear. And for those who are interested in checking out your outfits of the day for your Instagram, what is your Instagram account handle?
Oh, it's Adham and then just 1.0.
Ah, that is good to know. And last but certainly not least, I did want to allow a moment for you, for anyone who is inspired by your story, wants to take something away. Although if you have not taken anything away, you really need to rewatch this because this has been a very fun, interview. But yeah, but if anyone wants a final thought from you, what would you leave us with?
Oh, oh, that's tricky. Let's see. Okay, okay, yeah. Wait, I have one. I do have one. Oh my goodness. It's something I always repeat in my head. Um, Tomorrow is never promised, so always make sure you are living today. That is something. Like, just life is so short. If there's something that you want to do it. If there's a door in front of you, open it. If it's locked, break it down, break it open, find a key, like literally break it down. If there's something in front of you, like always try and get it. Even if you're scared, trust me, there's nothing to be afraid of. Always continue doing what you're passionate about, and doors will just open for you, even without trying. And if you're nervous about the future, it will always go your way. Even if it doesn't, something something will happen because I always believe everything happens for a reason. That is my belief. If you don't believe it, that's fine. But just trust in your gut and live like it's your last every day. So yeah, that's my final thought for you.
That is so great to hear. Thank you so much for, like I said, for being here, for sharing your story with us, and I'm just excited to read your book, continue chatting with you, and I would love to, like I said, have you back on in the future because just continue this amazing conversation.
I would love to. That'd be actually really fun.
Yeah, I'm just so like ecstatic for that. But yeah, but definitely enjoy your senior year and finish out this year strong so you can enter into your next chapter confident.
I will, I will. Thank you. I'll remember all those words when I'm crying over my final exam or something.
Yeah, don't wait to the last moment.
Smart.
But yeah, wait till the moment right before that.
True, true.
But yeah, but until next time, have a wonderful day, everyone, and I will see you all next week as we continue on our mission to bring people together. I'll see you all later. Take care.